Welcome into 5 Wide Fantasy presented by OwnersBox. Today's video, we're talking running back sleepers. We got 6 of them for you today. If you guys are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. We are on the road to 20,000 subscribers here on YouTube. Also below, link in the description for our Discord channel, running mock drafts, talking fantasy football. Be sure to join there as well. Boys, what is the philosophy you took with the sleepers today?
Honestly, the two guys that I'm looking at are, I think, guys who have upside as a backup right now in a running back room that either they've suffered injuries in the past or haven't had great reports about them in camp, or the scheme's kind of been switched up. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. I think that's relatively been a good recipe for success in the past for me, at least. So
yeah. Injuries can always help help your fantasy team if they don't happen to you and you've got the handcuffs. Mine are definitely guys I'm taking kind of a flyer on in terms of leading the offense, but do have to do with injury. One of them does have to do with injuries.
Yeah, mine are kind of similar to you. Backup running backs who are going to have a share in the offense, but they might take over the starting job and things like that later in the season, and that's what you're betting on.
Okay, cool. Give me the first one you got then.
So my first is Ronald Jones, who's going to be the backup to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who I talked about as a bust in a recent video, because I don't like him at all. But Jones took a step backwards last season with the Bucs. Leonard Fournette took his job last season. But in 2021, when he was a starter, he had almost 1,200 all-purpose yards and 8 touchdowns, sharing a backfield with Fournette. He signed with the Chiefs this year to come and be Edwards-Helaire's backup instead of being with the Bucs next season, which means he's going to have an increased role. The Chiefs have even talked about him having an increased role. Additionally, Edwards-Helaire, as I talked about in the bus video, has only 1 carry inside the 5 his entire career. So Jones will be getting all of the goal line work. He'll be getting all the touchdowns. I also think he'll get a lot of the early down between the tackles running. And I personally think he's better than Edwards-Helaire. Edwards-Helaire has been an inefficient runner almost his entire career, and I think Jones, by the midway point or even towards the end, could almost take Edwards-Helaire's job.
Yeah, I remember when he was banished to the bench in week 1 after him and Fournette dealt with all those drops against the Cowboys. So I remember Ronald Jones coming into the NFL and being really slender and undersized out of the Pac-12. Yeah. I'm not sure if you remember that, but he's definitely beefed up and can probably run through between the tackles better. The only thing would be is Helaire's definitely been inefficient. The other thing would be, I don't know if Jones can take over the pass work, and that's something that would be, I think it would be like, if they brought someone in who's similar to Jones but has a better pass catching profile, then they could very well take over completely if Helaire doesn't figure it out. I still think Jones is definitely someone, anytime he can get a piece of a guy in the Chiefs offense that has some upside that's kind of easy to envision and a path for it, definitely worth an investment.
Yeah, the one thing I'm a little concerned about, and I don't know, you talked about it with the drops. Has he had fumble issues as well?
Yes.
That's the one thing, like, Andy Reid doesn't take any of that bullshit. No, if you fumble or you're dropping shit, you get thrown on the bench quickly, but I think Jones is way more talented than Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Where's he going right now?
Like rounds 12, 13, so quite a bit behind Edwards-Helaire. Mm-hmm. And as you were saying, I don't think neither of them will be a bell cow back in a 3-down back in this offense. Even if Jones does take his job, Edwards-Helaire will still be doing most of the receiving work and everything.
Yeah, agreed. Ryan, who do you got?
This is I love this guy, and we've talked about him a lot between us and even on our shows, but I really like Rashaad White, the rookie that the Bucs drafted in the 3rd round this year. I think he's coming into a great situation to develop in his rookie season. Not a lot of lack of long-term running back depth in this Bucs backfield right now. As Cole mentioned, Ronald Jones on the Chiefs, and Keyshawn Vaughn really hasn't panned out to what I think they thought he was going to be. Obviously, Leonard Fournette right now is the starter. He had over 1,200 all-purpose yards last year, had a great year, but I think White provides massive upside if Fournette does go down with an injury or if he can't control his weight, which we've seen him come into camp a little bit. He was a little bit overweight.
He was running on the. I saw a video of him running on the treadmill.
Him and with Jamar Chase. Was DeAndre Swift maybe?
Yeah,
and a corner.
Oh, you're right. It was.
I can't think.
Eagles corner.
Yeah, the guys.
Jalen Mills.
Yeah, Jalen Mills. Jalen Mills.
Yeah, we'll have that. We should throw that up. That was good. It was he listened when the people were calling him big boy, saying he was coming to camp overweight. He's like, let me hit the treadmill and let me probably, if you're watching the video, wasn't running at the same, the level.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got it. DeAndre Swift's super fast, and so is Jamar Chase. But this kid's would be Tom Brady's dream running back to have. High high caliber pass catcher who can be a 3-down back. At Arizona State, he was first in his draft class in receiving yards, first in yards per route, and second in receptions. He also had a 16% target share, which is insane for a college running back volume, unless you're playing at like a place like Wisconsin, Pac-12, that doesn't generally happen. He also performed really well at the Combine. He posted very similar numbers to Breece Hall, who everyone loves this year. He posted a 4.48 40-yard dash and a 38-inch vertical jump. I think if Rashaad White can turn into a guy like James White or even Kevin Falk that Tom Brady's had a lot of success with in the past, he's going to be fantasy owners are going to love him. So I think take him. He's going around the 12th or 13th round. I think you can even take him in round 11 if you're really secured with your top tier running backs at that point. He's definitely a guy you could take a chance on.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how they use him. Just with like the Keyshawn Vaughn being around, I like White. I think he's really talented.
Yeah.
I've definitely watched him play a fair bit at Arizona State, and I think he's a really good player. He's definitely very interesting if you guys took him in your rookie drafts this offseason.
Yeah, I agree. And if Fournette does go down, completely hypothetical, but if he goes down, White's probably a top 10 fantasy running back if he's getting all the work.
I agree, especially early in the year with Godwin out, they rely heavily on the run game, but I mean, only time will tell with these kind of picks.
Yeah, I remember they tried to bring Le'Veon Bell in. That is the last place he will be listed on a roster until or probably in his career now that he's fighting.
I was gonna say other than maybe getting his name called in the ring.
Yeah. So maybe the Bucs, if an injury were to happen, maybe they would let like Vaughn and of course
like
Rashaad
Vaughn was super underwhelming last year.
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't
fumble issues, and he just wasn't efficient when he was put in the game in whatever scenario it was. So yeah.
I'm gonna start with Gus Edwards. I think Gus Edwards is kind of a no-brainer in the 14th round. Him and J.K. Dobbins coming off of ACL tears. Usually this is kind of a stay-away point for me because of just dealing in the past. You guys, if you played before, you kind of know that when you're looking at a player and if there's discussion of injury and whether or not they're going to be ready, you should probably just avoid them because the year will probably be a disaster. But for Gus Edwards, the Ravens offense, I can tell that Greg Roman, I mean, you can see it in the proof of trading Hollywood Brown, who's told everybody that the Ravens said they wanted to run the ball more, that I think they're trying to go back to that 2019 offense that Lamar Jackson won MVP in. That offense ran the ball in almost 55% of plays. That is ridiculous when you consider the Eagles led the NFL last year at 49% of plays. So this would be a significantly run-heavy offense. And Dobbins' LCL injury combined with the ACL injury is what has been reported lately. And it looks like neither one of them are going to be available for the preseason. At this point, honestly, in the NFL, playing any starters that have played in the league for multiple seasons in the preseason is just stupid, and I would never do it. Shout out Brandon Staley, who did that for my Chargers last year, just didn't play any of the guys, which I actually love because then we don't have these two guys that got hurt. Dobbins literally tore his ACL in a preseason game, so like just a waste for their team last year. Now going to Edwards, I know it's the ACL injury, but he's proven to be a really efficient runner. Like in the last season he played, 2020, 4.8 yards per carry, or 4.8 was his true yards per carry. So that takes out all those big play breakaway runs, eliminates that, and tells you the true kind of without those a 40-yard run can kind of really affect your average yards per carry. So it eliminates it, and he was even 7th in breakaway runs. He broke some big plays. So I think he's got the best chance to be ready and at training camp between these two guys. And again, you're probably going to want a piece of the offense in Baltimore on the ground. So I'm going to take Edwards that late. This is someone that is going to change if his health is good when you're drafting in like the last week of August, early September.
Yeah, I really like this pick as a sleeper guy. I'm going to be looking at in later rounds as well. Like seeing all the reports about J.K. Dobbins, it's nerve-wracking, especially if you're in a dynasty league and you're a J.K. Dobbins owner. That's really tough. But Gus Edwards, like you mentioned, T-Mac, super efficient runner. I think in this offense with Lamar, he'll be able to find his way if he ends up being that lone back there. And I mean, the defenses right now in the AFC North, apart from the Steelers, the run defenses are horrible. Like the Bengals still don't have a great run defense. They have no linebackers.
Yeah, last year they were like bottom five. They were good in the playoffs.
Ravens too, though. They don't have a ton of. Well, I mean, he can't play against the Ravens, obviously.
Yeah.
But Steelers are probably the only one, and then the Browns is always hit or miss because I'm not really sure what defense they're going to be fielding this year. But I like that pick, T-Mac.
Yeah.
Shall we go to, let's go to the second set of guys.
Okay, so my guy, Ramondre Stevenson, who I think we all like. We've all talked about him before. So it took him a little bit of time to really get in New England's offense last season. He was kind of in Bill Belichick's dog pound until about week 9. So from week 1 to 5, he was only averaging 6 carries a game. And then from 11 to 17, he started averaging 17 carries a game from that time. And in those games, he averaged 4.8 yards a carry and 3 yards after contact, which was 9th in the NFL for that span. And I mean, the Patriots are one of the best rushing attacks in the league. They were 7th last year in rushing attempts. And Damian Harris and him, I think, are going to split carries this year. I don't think Damian Harris is going to be the clear number 1 back. And whoever's getting, I think both of them will have value. And in this New England offense, which is going to be very run-heavy, very check-down-heavy, I think Stevenson and Harris, honestly, both have. I've talked about Harris before. I like him. I think they both have really good fantasy value in this offense.
Go ahead, if you have anything else.
And yeah, he's currently being drafted as the running back.
He's got to be like close to 40, right?
Yeah, running back 47.
Really? Yeah,
Even
like,
that?
wow.
Okay.
Yeah, and he finished last year as Damian Harris's backup as the running back 25. And
Yeah.
I think he's going to get more volume, and he's being drafted way later.
He is, for all of the hero RB, zero RB players out there, to me, this is your obvious guy to have because you're getting an offense that is going to run the ball a lot. You don't have to pay for it. And I think Ramondre Stevenson is maybe better than Damian Harris, just as good. They're going to use him plenty. He's like you said, RB 46. I mean, just kind of obvious. I feel like it's going to change, but to me, an obvious guy to be picking up as a sleeper.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
All right, let's move on to the next one. We're going quick here, fellas.
We're going quick.
Keep
It's
this
good.
under 20 minutes.
My second running back sleeper is Khalil Herbert. One of the main reasons why I'm kind of targeting a few guys on this Bears offense, one of them also being Justin Fields as a quarterback sleeper this year, is the complete coaching change. Bringing in Matt Eberflus, and then Eberflus bought in Luke Getsy from the Packers, who's bringing over this style of offense that really obviously worked over in Green Bay. It's a more run-heavy offensive scheme. It's a wide zone system, which is perfect for the type of style runner Khalil Herbert is. Obviously, there's David Montgomery, but Khalil Herbert has excellent vision, and his acceleration through the hole is actually much better than David Montgomery's. And I think this is the type of offense they're going to be looking at, because if you look at Justin Fields' best games last year, it was when their rushing volume was the highest. So I think that's something they're going to look into this year. And to be honest, when Khalil Herbert was on the field last year, he was actually better than David Montgomery. David Montgomery went out for 3 or 4 weeks, missed a few games, and during that span, he was PFF's 4th highest graded rusher from weeks 5 to 8. Herbert averaged 4.5 yards per carry over that stretch, including a 100-yard rushing performance against the number 1 rushing defense last year, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Meanwhile, Montgomery averaged just under 4 yards per carry, 3.8 yards per carry for the season, and he surpassed 80 rushing yards just 3 times in 13 games. So I think if things go in Herbert's favor, obviously something has to happen to Montgomery. Either he has a really shit couple first weeks and they turn to Herbert, or he gets injured. His value, I think, will just definitely exceed RB 58, which is what he is going as right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it, but I'm definitely not, I don't see myself drafting him just because he'll certainly be someone on the waiver if something happens to Montgomery.
Right.
But it's also a bad offense with a bad offensive line. But like you said, he was good last year. I took him in a lot of dynasty leagues in the last round of my rookie draft, so I like Khalil Herbert a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I'd take, like you said, Gus Edwards was in the 4th. I'd take Gus Edwards before him in the 14th.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's guys I'd take before then, but he definitely, anything happens to David Montgomery, he's got a ton of value.
Certainly an asset. My last one's Raheem Mostert, another guy dealing with a knee injury. He didn't have an ACL tear, but early 14th round guy, running back 53. This is obviously a packed running back room with Chase Edmonds, Myles Gaskin, Sony Michel. They're definitely going to be making some cuts. But there's an advantage here for Raheem Mostert in the fact that he comes into an offense coached by Mike McDaniel, who was the OC with the 49ers, so is familiar with Mostert, has worked with him before. I think that gives him an opportunity that, even though he's coming in with an injury, missed OTAs, did tweet, though. I don't know how much you guys like this. He did tweet that he's almost 100%. Those
Whatever
are
the fuck
words
that
of
means.
encouragement from Raheem Mostert. Definitely a guy that's missed a lot of time, so that's a problem. But that's baked into this draft capital, 14th round. I can afford to miss on these guys. Let me tell you, you'll probably be dropping the guys you're taking in the 14th round of your fantasy drafts at some point. So when he's healthy, he's one of the fastest and most explosive players in the league. Like, we're talking, I'm pretty sure his agility score and his 40 time are in like the 92nd percentile in player
I would
profiler. So very fast. And the top fantasy backs in terms of red zone touches is really important to me. And Chase Edmonds has never exceeded 27. And usually high value or valuable fantasy running backs are getting at least 40. So Edmonds is someone who doesn't profile well to score touchdowns. So I think someone has to emerge here. This is honestly to me a combo of both Raheem Mostert, and if Mostert still doesn't have things figured out with the knee, then this is a Sony Michel thing, because Sony Michel took a lot of end zone work for the Rams last year. So I'm just trying to find someone that isn't Chase Edmonds that I think can return value in an offense that's under Mike McDaniel is going to have a great run scheme. That's what Kyle Shanahan does best, and he's worked under him for forever.
Yeah, I completely agree. I can't stand Chase Edmonds this year. I think he'll be a horrible fantasy football running back on anybody's team, to be honest. I just can't see it happening. I think there's way more value in taking a guy like Mostert, Michel, or even fucking Myles Gaskin later on in the rounds if you want to take a chance on him. The one thing is it's hard to trust one because this is a very cluttered backfield at this point of the offseason. So I think it's kind of like a wait and see kind of thing for me. So I'm not jumping on Mostert, but if he's there in those later rounds, he's definitely an option.
Yeah, it's going to be. Edmonds still isn't like, I know you don't like him, but if you do like him, like he's never gonna be in the running back 35. He's not gonna crush you if you feel like you want to draft him and the value's there. But someone's gonna return some good value in this offense, I think.
Yeah, some running backs gonna have good value. It's just you don't know who it's gonna be.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to like, subscribe to the channel. Like I said, trying to get to 20K. We got plenty of written content on our site as well. That link will be in the description. You can check out our player rankings, draft strategy, more sleepers, more must-draft players, more players you shouldn't draft, everything you need over there. So be sure to check out that link. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time.